Can you hear me? I didn't think about a microphone when it came to recording this or doing this via Zoom. Can somebody find the chat? Can you hear me talking? Hello, 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 hello. Can you hear me? Anyone? Oh, hold on. Oh boy, good middle, there we go. Can you hear me? Those of you online?
Yep.
I didn't think about a microphone, so I'm not sure how well the sound is going to come through. I'll work on that for next time. Is he white somewhere? What now? I don't know. I was looking for wipes.
For the what?
Wipes. Like oh, there's a bucket. Because I don't know who used the mic last. Welcome. How is everyone? Good. Can you? Is this loud enough? Can you hear me? Do I need to hold it closer to my mouth because of the mask? So I've got a bit of an issue. I really like to walk around when I talk, but I probably shouldn't. So I'll work that out. So I'm Professor Glutzball. Nice to see all of you. How are you doing? Good. How's everyone online? We've got 30 some online there. Okay. Yeah, I'll try to fix the microphone for this next time. I didn't think about that. I haven't done a class this large in a while. So well, I used to teach in here regularly, but it's been a few years. So so you got, I don't know, lucky or unlucky. Last Monday was a holiday, right? So technically the class is starting today. So we'll go through, look at the syllabus a little bit, look at the first assignment that's there, talk about the class some. Those of you that are online, I'm gonna assume you can pull up Brightspace yourself. in another window maybe. I guess I've kind of got the screen behind me, but that's not going to work very well for you, I don't think. So I've got, there were two sections of Brightspace, and Dr. McGraw and I chose to merge them into one. That way, if we shared something with one class, it definitely went to the other, and we weren't trying to maintain two simultaneously, making sure that everything that went to one went to the other. So there's just one Brightspace section in Brightspace, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. Dr. McGraw may or may not be here. He has a faculty senate meeting that overlaps with this class. If the meeting gets over soon enough, he'll show up so you can see him. Our teaching assistant for the course is Hannah Sherwood. She's down here in front. So she'll be helping us with 250-01 as well as 450-01. So she'll have quite a few students this semester. There are quite a few of you showed up. That's nice to see. There are 195 in the class. So it's a large class. Not all of you showed up, I can tell, but many of you did. So that's good. Let's see. I posted that initial welcome, just kind of going through things. Everything that I do for the course, you'll be able to find either on the course home or the content, or by going to course tools and assignments. But those assignments I will try to link to the course content as well. So you can see that your first assignment has begun. It's a narrative submission that we'll talk more about. It's not due right away. It's due February 15th. But you can also see that I've linked the assignment activity there. So the assignment is listed there as well. You'll submit your assignments through Blackboard, and that way Hannah will be able to access them and grade them. We'll build that week by week schedule as we go through. If we look at the syllabus up at the top, follow that link, look at the syllabus. You'll see at the top it says begin by reading the syllabus. Always check the announcements, content, and assignment sections. In the syllabus, I put a list of deliverables. So you're going to have a narrative, a resume, a portfolio, and a cover letter that we do in this class. And then I put a tentative list of assignments there, or weekly list. Those will stay pretty close to what they are. We have an advisory council that has expressed some interest in being able to speak with you. So if we can get some of them on to Zoom in or something so that they can speak to you instead of me or Dr. McGraw, we're going to do that, and we'll wind up modifying that schedule to make that happen. As for the rest, it'll probably stay the same. I have not gotten my CCO speaker requests back yet to confirm those days, but CCO usually comes to this class 2 or 3 times to speak on different topics related to resumes, internships, job fairs, interviews, things of that nature, things that they deal with on a regular basis. So the rest of that, I kind of went through in my intro video, so I'm not going to go through again, but to kind of, you can kind of look at this as an overall, and then you can go back to the content section regularly as we update it from week to week to see what we'll be going through. So, let's see. I guess let's start with, did you have a good break? Yes, no? Did you have a good first week of classes?
Yep.
I don't see a whole lot of nods or shaking, no. Are you excited to be here? Yes, you have your hand up. There, oh, thank you very much. I'm glad I put it up there. I'll have to do it without that waiting room next time. It was automatically chosen and I left it that way. So yeah, if you see that again, please let me know. So anyone do anything fun over break? Was it possible to do anything fun over break? No? Anyone go home? That home that is not here? Where'd you go? Kansas? Okay. Anyone else? So this, I'll say, this class goes better. I like to do more of a discussion. I don't like to stand up here and talk for an hour. So I like to ask questions and get responses. And a lot of times when we're working on a topic, like when we start talking about the narrative, I kind of feed off of what your answer might be and kind of take us in a direction to try and get more responses. So I like the question and answer and the back and forth in this type of a class. Just to, I guess, let you know a little bit more about my style on here. So you all see, it's the end of the day, I know, right? So I don't know if you're counting the minutes until it's time to eat or what, but okay. I guess we'll move to I guess a little bit. How many of you are sophomores? Would be the majority of you. Anyone, any juniors? Quite a few juniors. How many seniors? Of one hand in here. Okay. That's all I thought. Did you change your degree objective? Okay. All right. So it's the class is largely for sophomore level. Sophomore, juniors, fine. So the idea behind 250.01 and 450.01 is to give you some professional development and give you a space where you can look at developing your resume, look at developing your portfolio, and move forward. Yeah. Thank you. So in here, we'll try to develop some of those things. Have you already had classes where you've worked on a resume? It's entirely possible that you have, right? One thing that we found as we were working on the curriculum was that a lot of times students would have a class where they might be supposed to put together their resume, but they don't have adequate time to really focus on it, and it's kind of it's part of the class, but it's not kind of the focus of the class. And so one of the things we wanted to do with 250.01 and 450.01 was make that a focus of the class, where you put some good time and thought into it, into layout, organization, wording, phrasing, just everything about it, and then also, you know, how is that resume used? So you'll have this, and this is the first in the sequence. We had talked about creating a 350.01 that's not on the books yet, and then 450.01 is similar to this, but you should have 2 more years of schooling and some more experience to add to your resume and to your portfolio. And the goal in 450.01 is really just looking towards, you know, getting a job. That's your end goal, right? We want you to graduate and be successfully gainfully employed. So this is the start of that. What questions do you have? Do you have questions? Thank you.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I have a question. what, so I understand that we're going to be doing resumes and narrative, career narratives and stuff. Is this a business class?
So the question is this a business class? I would say no. It's geared towards CGT, so we have a lot of different majors in here. We may talk about some things related to after graduation, like looking at cost of living or how taxes impact your life. But in terms of a business class, no, that's not what I would write as.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? All right, so how many different majors do we have? Who is in, go ahead, what's your major? I'll ask you, let you speak. Game development, okay. How many of you are in game development? Okay. Next major. Yes. Animation, how many of you are in animation? Okay, good. Next major, yes. Web programming and design. How many of you are in web? Good. Next major. Yes. VPI. How many of you are in VPI? Good. Next major. Visual effects and compositing. How many of you are in VFX? Okay. Next major. Yes. User experience design. How many of you are in UX? Good. Next major. There's 8 of them, right? I haven't been counting, sorry. How many have we hit? Yes. BIM. Anyone in BIM? Yes. Okay. Have we hit everyone? BIM, UX, web, animation, gaming, VFX. Who am I forgetting? Yes. Data viz. Yes. Who else is in data viz? Good. It seems like we're close. Did I miss anyone? I don't want to leave anyone out. So we've got a diverse population in this class, right? So you're all under the umbrella of CGT, but within that umbrella, it's quite diverse. So how a person in virtual product integration puts together a narrative or a resume might be different, might be vastly different from how a person in user experience design puts together their narrative and resume. So there is not a one size fits all cookie cutter, this is how you're supposed to do it. And part of that is doing a little bit of research and understanding in your own area of what's expected from the employer. So looking at job opportunities, looking at examples in your area, and trying to gear things that direction. So as we go through the class, we'll bring your major focus into play, and we'll kind of let everyone see how things are similar and yet different throughout each one of those. But that makes for an interesting conversation at times for how things are done. I can bring up from past semesters teaching a course, looking at the way user experience design resumes are often laid out for those job opportunities. Does not look like your typical resume layout that a lot of people are used to seeing, and that's the way it's done, and so that's the way you're expected to do it, and the way your employer is used to seeing how it's laid out. So it's there are differences between each of you. Let's see. The narrative. Who can tell me what your narrative ought to be about? Instead of me just talking. Who can tell me what your narrative ought to be about? Yes. Say that again. What led you here? Yes. Your background is important. I mean, how the things that you've been exposed to, the life experiences, your background is important. You got to hear this spot in life, and the way that you got here is different from every other person in the class. So what led you here? What made you choose what you have come here to do? What else? What should your narrative be about? Yes, go ahead.
It should be about why people should hire you.
Okay, he said it should be about why people should hire you. Yes. So what skills do you have? What do you have to offer the companies? What do you bring to the table, so to speak? You're putting your best foot forward. You're putting yourself forward, and you're trying to do it in the best manner possible that would intrigue someone, that would say, you know, this is someone I want to talk to. This is someone I want to learn more about. So yes. What else should your narrative be about? Yes. Where you are going and what your plans are. Yes. So all of you, I hope, have dreams and aspirations. All of you, I hope, have an ideal type of company, if not an exact company that you're shooting for, that you're hoping to get to. And yes, that should be a part of your narrative. There are many of you may have something that is, you know, I don't want to say general, but it's, you want to be in this field, but you're not necessarily looking for a specific company. You're willing to move about the country. You know that you really want to do this type of activity. You really want to do this thing that you have studied and gotten really good at. And some of you have a specific company in mind. And you say, I want to work for them. That's my ideal job. That's my dream job. That's what I aspire to. That's what I want. And that is great as well. And don't give up on that. Shoot for it and go get it. So my dream when I was in college was working for Microsoft. It was just, I was a programmer. I enjoyed it. I more than enjoyed it. I loved it. I have a terrible time with names and just remembering things that should come easy and do come easy to a lot of people. But when I look at code, I don't forget it. Explain that to me. So it's I don't know. But that's what I went for, and I was able to go there and work there. So it's that was my dream that I was there at age 22, I guess, when I got there. So in a way that's good, in a way it's bad. I got there pretty early, so it gave me something else to shoot for. I had to reestablish what I was shooting for in life, I guess. But I guess the important message there is, if you've got a particular company that in mind that you want to go to, you know, go for it. Make sure, do whatever you have to do to try and get an interview there, meet people, network. One of the things that we like to do in this class is Dr. McGraw and I both have LinkedIn profiles. How many of you have a LinkedIn profile? Okay. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, please create one. It's a good form of networking. I'm not going to stand here and say it's the best way to do anything, but it is a way, right? It is a way to network with others. Over the years, I have connected with a lot of our former students who are now out in industry in each of the 8 majors that you are now aspiring to go into. And so either if you have a LinkedIn profile, if not, create one, but go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn. And that should give you access to look through the connections that I have, which is, I think it's around 900 or 1,000 students, mostly students. There's several that are in industry, but a lot of students from the past. I've had many students who have gone to work, and then I hear from them 2 years, 4 years later, and they say, "Hey, who do you have coming through the program? Because I've been here at this job. I love my job. It is great here. It's an awesome environment, but I'm the only Purdue student. I want somebody else." And we give them a few names, and they put those names in a hat, right? And networking is key. So you can connect with people that you know are Purdue grads through Dr. McGraw, through myself, through other faculty member here. I think everyone in the department, I'm sure, has that LinkedIn profile. So you can, the same thing I'm talking about doing is looking for, maybe there's a person at the company that you want to work for that is a Purdue grad, and a faculty member could introduce you. And that's your foot in the door. Okay. What else is your narrative? Did I get sidetracked there? I can get sidetracked. I have some stories. Yes. Yes. Can you say it louder? How did I end up owning a pharmacy? That is a great question. So I didn't really tell you about myself. So my wife is a pharmacist, so that's key. We used to live in West Lafayette. We lived in West Lafayette for 12 years, I believe. So while I was at Microsoft, let me start before that. Before I went to Microsoft, I started dating who is now my wife. Went to Microsoft. They offered me, so I did 2 internships there. They offered me a full-time job, but my wife still had 2 years in her doctoral program here at Purdue for a doctorate of pharmacy degree. At the same time, they offered me the job, Purdue here, this job. CGT offered me, or it had a job opening here, so I applied for it. It was a strategic hire to bring web programming into our department, because our department at the time had no programming whatsoever. So I fit that mold very well. They offered me the job, and that's why I'm here. My wife still had 2 years on her doctorate. She graduated, went to work at CVS, and she was working at CVS about 30 miles away, actually right where, within a few miles of where both of us grew up. And after a few years of commuting, she finally got transferred to the CVS on the south side of town here, so out on Veterans Memorial Parkway. She was the pharmacist in charge there, had other pharmacists under her, had a team of pharmacy technicians. And she was doing that for quite a few years. A few years ago, we decided that we were going to move back to where we grew up and build a house. So we bought some land, built a house there, moved back home. So once again, she was commuting, and so am I. But if she had stayed at the other place, she wouldn't be commuting anymore. But in going back there, our hometown pharmacy that we grew up with, we had talked about it before. My dad is actually incredibly well known in the community. So my dad and I went in and we talked to the current owner. At the time, she was not interested in selling. But then 6 months later, she sent a handwritten note to my wife that said, when am I ever going to have an opportunity to sell to somebody local again? Like, because the odds are it would be sell to a CVS or a Walgreens, and they would shut the store down. They wouldn't keep it. They would close it. And so she sold to us. So that's how I came to own a pharmacy. So we own it together, but she runs it. Don't give me credit for that. So that's a little about me. What else? We just redid the pharmacy, if you want to know that. All right, so your narrative. Back to class, I guess. So yes, we've gone through kind of everything that's there. There's a link there to kind of an idea of where a narrative can come from to give you some more creativity as you read through it. The narrative should only be 500 to 1,000 words. We're not looking for a long-term paper. So that's a page or two, pretty much. Font size 11, double spaced, just not looking for anything super long. But make the last paragraph an elevator pitch. And if you haven't done an elevator pitch before, do a little searching to learn a little bit about an elevator pitch. Anyone done an elevator pitch before? What can you tell us about it? Go ahead, online.
Yeah, so an elevator pitch, you have to explain the idea in such a way that makes the other people like it very quickly.
That's good. That's good. So he said you have to explain the idea very quickly in such a way that the other people like it. So you've basically got just a few seconds, 30 seconds. You can get a few sentences out, and in that short little period of time, you have got to make the other person want to talk to you more. So it's literally, how long are you on an elevator? When's the last time you went to a hotel and you got on the elevator to go to the floor that you're on? And how long were you on the elevator? Half a minute? It's not very long, right? So an elevator pitch. You get in the elevator with a person who works at the company that you want to go work for. And you've only got a few sentences that you can say to try and grab this person's attention and make them want to talk to you more at least, right? And get to know more about you. That's the elevator pitch, okay? So any questions about that?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So is that supposed to be kind of like included as part of the narrative, or is that just a thing that we stick on the end as something separate but in the same document?
Gotcha. So the question was it supposed to be integrated into the narrative, or is it just something separate that's in the same document? So my answer is going to be something separate that's in the same document, okay? Because it would be kind of difficult to integrate that into your narrative. So write your narrative, and then at the end we want that elevator pitch, okay? Same document though. That's mostly for grading. It's, you sit down and open 195 documents, and you don't want to turn 195 into twice that, right? So same document. Other questions? Yes. We will, to the best of our ability, get you some individual feedback. We're going to try and use our advisory council as well. That way we can kind of split it up so that we don't have one or two, or hopefully we have more than that looking at portfolios, and hopefully we have a person that's in your area looking at your portfolio. That's what we ideally hope for. Through our advisory council, we have people in each one of our majors, and so if they're willing to put in a few hours to look through some portfolios and give some feedback, that's our goal. Someone added, and I hadn't been looking at the comments, but what makes you different from other people in your narrative? I don't think we kind of touched on that. How are you different from everyone else? What makes you unique? Each one of you is unique. We all know that. I know that. But what makes you unique? Oh. So I hope you talk more. No, I mean. Do you have any questions about anything? Would you like to know if it's going to be drizzly and icy outside tonight? I have information pertaining to that. Yes. Yeah. As far as formatting resumes, I would say yes. Letters of recommendation, we can certainly talk about. We've got lots of time in this class. Yes, yes, we can. What else? Yes. What happened? Well, nothing. I mean, nothing really happened. Well, actually, something did happen, but we don't have enough time for that story. So my career path. So I came through CGT like you. During my undergraduate, I did 3 co-op experiences with Boeing in St. Louis. I was a software engineer there. I wrote C++ code that they used on what was called a distributed mission trainer. Essentially, there was a cockpit of an F-15 in a room, and outside of that, there were training stations for threats, and all of that used maps that I generated with code that I wrote. We would take digital elevation data from a company called NEMA, and I wrote an algorithm to take that data in and map it to conform to the Earth, because the Earth is round, right? And most maps are flat. So I wrote an algorithm to do that. Staying on that topic, several years later, when I was here at Purdue, I was presenting at a conference. I was at SIGGRAPH, and somebody found me. I was a program chair of SIGGRAPH. They came and found me and started talking to me. I had no idea who this person was. He said he was from Boeing. I said, great. And then at the end, he said, well, it was very nice to meet you. I just wanted to meet the person whose name is all over the code we're using. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. So they offered me a fourth co-op. I turned it down to go to Microsoft. I interned there twice. At Microsoft, I was a software test engineer. As a software test engineer, I wrote code to try and break other people's code. That was my job. I wrote a lot of JavaScript. We worked on, at the time, it was, so Office was still pretty much in a box in the store. You go and you buy it and you bring it home and you install it on your computer and you've got that version. And we were working on the online version where it was becoming more service-based. And so there was a lot more ability to hack it. And so an environment that I loved because we tracked everything. We tracked the number of bugs found. We tracked the number of bugs fixed. We tracked anything about programming that you could track. And I guess my claim to fame there is that I led the board in bugs found frequently. So I was happy about that. So they liked me enough, they had me come back a second time. After that, I was finishing my master's degree, and that's the time when I had to make the decision of either going there permanently or staying here with my student who, I don't know, I don't remember the year. I don't think we were engaged yet. So that would have been close, I think. She graduated and then we bought a house and it was all in like 1 week. So but I do have a story about how I, what did they deactivated my card and removed me from campus. So maybe I'll tell you that sometime. I also sent an email to Bill Gates on accident. That's a might be related, but I'm not sure. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Absolutely, yes. When we get to portfolio, it'll be kind of portfolio slash demo reels. But there are some of you that demo reels are far more important than what we call a portfolio. And there are some of you that have no use for a demo reel, right? So yes, that's going to be a major topic that we talk about as well. Okay, so go ahead and begin on your narrative. We will talk about that a little bit more next week. I hope you have a great evening and we will see you again next week. Thank you for coming.
I remember asking in person, when do you think is the what do I want to phrase what I'm saying? Mass youth grading. What's the first round step that's going to be like grading and the expectation of the turnaround on that?
So I'd say if we can try to generally get an assignment graded within 2 weeks-ish.
Yeah.
There's a lot of assignments. So
are they able to do earlier submissions if
they should be able to. We can check that and make sure that they can turn it in at any time. In fact, I think I've seen, I know I haven't gone in, but I've got a little icon on, I don't remember which class it is, but I think it's the assignment turn in.
Yeah.
It says like 4 people have turned it in.
All right. Yeah, I just kind of it's my first semester doing this, so I'm gonna have a lot of questions.
Yeah.